The story begins with Lucia, a beautiful woman who has been married to Jor for a long time. In the beginning, their relationship was full of warmth and passion. They seemed like the perfect couple. But as time passed, things started to change. Jor became distant. Whenever Lucia wanted to be close to him, he'd make excuses, pretending to be tired or just choosing to sleep instead. Lucia felt that emotional distance growing, and she couldn't understand why. Then one morning, everything fell apart. As Lucia was about to leave the house, she suddenly saw something that broke her heart. Jor was being intimate with another woman. And not just anyone, it was Sandra, one of her friends. Lucia froze. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. The betrayal was too deep. Anger and pain took over. She wanted Jor out of her life. But when she tried to kick him out, she realized the house wasn't hers. Everything, the house, the property, was in his name. So instead, Lucia had to be the one to leave. Heartbroken and humiliated, she packed her things and walked away from the life she once had. Soon after, they divorced. From that moment, everything changed for Lucia. Once living a comfortable, luxurious life, she was now alone in a small apartment, struggling to make ends meet. But not all was dark. Lucia had a close friend, Maria, who often visited her. Maria comforted her, reminding her that it's better to be alone than to live with someone who betrayed you. Slowly, Lucia started to rebuild her life. Most of the people in her new apartment complex were young, and that's where she met Javier, a charming young man. Even though she was trying to stay strong, life wasn't easy. One morning, while reading the newspaper, Lucia found a job posting for a hostess position at a big company. It sounded perfect, the kind of opportunity that could help her stand on her own feet and prove that she didn't need Jor anymore. Determined, she decided to apply. With help from Maria and her friends, Lucia prepared everything. And finally, she got the job. But then came a small twist. Her new boss invited her to a company event, and every employee had to bring either their husband or their child. Lucia had neither. Thinking quickly, she went to Javier and asked him for a huge favor, to pretend to be her son at the event. Javier was hesitant at first. He wasn't exactly thrilled about spending time pretending to be someone's kid, especially with an older woman. But Lucia convinced him, and eventually, he agreed. At the event, Javier played his role perfectly. Everyone believed he was Lucia's son. No one had any doubts. The event lasted a few days, filled with fun activities and games. During one of the games, Lucia and Javier won, and through these moments, their bond slowly started to grow stronger. But it wasn't all smooth. Sometimes Lucia got annoyed at Javier because he kept flirting with the boss's daughter. Maybe she was jealous, though she wouldn't admit it. One night, after a round of drinks and laughter, Lucia drank too much. She got drunk, and Javier, being the gentleman he was, helped her get to bed. Things got unexpectedly close between them, almost too close, but at the last moment, they both pulled back. When the event finally ended, everyone went home. Lucia thanked Javier for helping her. He smiled, saying he actually had fun and enjoyed spending time with someone more mature. Days passed, and they didn't see each other. But when Lucia was invited to another company dinner, she decided to bring Javier along again. At the dinner, Javier teased Lucia playfully, and she couldn't help but blush and smile. But then, out of nowhere, Jor appeared. He told Lucia that he missed her and wanted to get back together, to fix things and start over. Lucia was shocked. Part of her still carried pain, and she couldn't answer him right away. She told him she needed time to heal her broken heart. That night, Lucia wanted to confess something, that Javier wasn't actually her son. But before she could, her boss announced something surprising. Lucia was being promoted. She was officially becoming a director. Overjoyed, Lucia and Javier returned to her apartment to celebrate, and that night, their connection crossed the line. They became intimate for the first time. The next morning, they were still together, happy and full of warmth. Lucia finally felt alive again. The following day, she walked into the office, confident, proud, and ready to start her new position as the company's new director. One day, while waiting for a company filming session to begin, Lucia entered the studio. Feeling playful, she began pretending to be a news anchor in front of the camera, speaking, posing, even joking around. What she didn't realize was that a cameraman was secretly watching her through a two-way mirror. Everything she did, her laughter, her silly little performance, was being observed quietly. Shortly after, Lucia was summoned to her boss's office. The atmosphere was heavy, and she instantly sensed something was wrong. When she entered, she saw a photograph on the desk, a picture of Javier with his real parents. Her heart sank. Her boss looked at her sternly and said the company had discovered the truth. Javier wasn't her biological son. The company felt deceived. Lucia tried to explain that it wasn't meant to harm anyone. It was just a harmless lie to attend that first event, but it was too late. Despite her talent and hard work, Lucia was fired. Crushed and humiliated once again, she returned home. But there, waiting for her, was someone she didn't expect, Jor. He looked remorseful. He apologized sincerely for his betrayal, telling Lucia that he still loved her and wanted to go back to how things used to be. Lucia stood there, torn. Part of her wanted to move on and forget the pain, but another part of her couldn't deny what she felt for Javier. She had truly fallen in love with him. Yet deep inside, she knew they could never really be together. The age gap, the judgment, the differences in their lives, it all made it impossible. So with a heavy heart, Lucia decided to return to Yor. But love doesn't just disappear. Even though she was living with Yor again, her thoughts constantly drifted back to Javier, his smile, his kindness, and the way he made her feel alive. Meanwhile, Javier was going through his own emotional storm. Missing Lucia deeply, he poured his heart into a letter, expressing everything he couldn't say out loud. When Lucia finally received and read it, her eyes filled with tears. She realized just how much he truly cared for her. Days later, Lucia and Yor attended a dinner with friends. The atmosphere seemed normal, laughter, conversation, clinking glasses, but Lucia's mind was somewhere else. Then, in the middle of it all, she made a bold decision. She looked at Yor and calmly said that she couldn't be with him anymore. She no longer loved him, and no matter how hard she tried, the wounds of betrayal had never healed. Her heart simply didn't belong to him anymore. Lucia chose to follow her heart, no matter what people thought. She decided to go back to Javier, even with all the differences between them, because love, in its purest form, doesn't care about age or status. Meanwhile, at her former company, chaos had begun. Since Lucia's dismissal, they hadn't been able to find anyone who could replace her. During one executive meeting, a woman walked in and showed them a video recording. It was Lucia, acting confidently as a host, full of charm and energy. Everyone in the room watched silently. They realized they might have made a mistake. Maybe, just maybe, Lucia would be rehired. And with that, the story comes to an end.